Hey mathematics learners, welcome to Distance Learning with Lee, where I make learning mathematics super easy. On today's video tutorial, guys, we are going to be tackling question 5.1 from the grade 12 mathematics literacy paper 1 that was written in November 2021. And question 5.1 basically deals with finance and in particular taxation, right? And it's important before we get started with this video tutorial, guys, we understand what taxation or what the term taxation means, right? Because you're going to see it very often in grade 11, grade 12, right? So taxation is a term that is used for when a taxing authority imposes financial obligations to its citizens, right? So when a person basically pays tax, right, the government goes into your salary and takes a particular percentage of the salary so that the government can cover particular goods and services that the government provides for the citizens of the country, right? So when a person gets taxed, right, they look at the tax brackets that your income falls into, and a certain percentage is taken by the government depending on the tax bracket that your income falls in, right? And that money is basically used to pay for goods and services of the citizens of that country, right? For example, it goes into paying for the healthcare system of the country, the education system of the country, and so on and so forth, right? The fact that there's public hospitals, clinics that are made accessible for the citizens of the country that they can go to and get medicine and see a doctor for free, right? That has been paid for by the citizens of the country that basically pay tax, right? When you get children that go to public schools, right, that has been paid for by the citizens of the country that earn an income and pay tax, right? So basically that is what tax is about. That is what the whole concept of taxation is, right? So I hope that I've clarified that for you. So now we can get started with the video tutorial, right? And like I mentioned, we are going to be tackling question 5.1. But before we get started with question 5.1, guys, please make sure that you have subscribed to the channel. Please make sure that you click on that notification bell so that you get notified every single time I upload a new video tutorial, guys. And also don't forget to give this video tutorial a huge thumbs up, because that really helps the channel grow and it helps the channel reach more learners that want to better their mathematics marks, right? So without any further ado, guys, let's get started with today's video tutorial. Have a look at question 5.1. We're going to read the information that has been given to us here, and we're going to try to deeply understand what we are being given, and then we're going to move on and answer the questions that are given to us, right? So let's have a look. Marius, who is 64 years old, earned an annual taxable income of 551,762, right, for the 2019 to the 2020 tax year. During the 2019 to the 2020 tax year, Marius, who was not a member of any, Marais was not a member of any medical fund, right? Table 7 below shows the tax table for the 2019 to the 2020 tax year, right? So table 7, right, is tax rates for the 2019 to the 2020 tax year. So that period is from the 1st of March 2019 to the 28th of February 2020, right? So that is the period that we are looking at, right? So we're given the tax brackets 1 up to 7, and we're given the taxable income, okay, for each tax bracket, and we're given the rates of tax that are charged depending on the taxable income that you fall in, right? So let's just have a look at just 1 and 2, right? So with the first one, so if you earn between 1 rand to 195,850, right? The rate of tax is 18% of taxable income, right? If you earn 195,851 to 305,850, the rate of tax that you basically need to pay is 35,253 plus 26% of taxable income above 195,850, right? So I think it's very important for me to explain what this part means, okay? Because in the questions that are going to follow, you will need to apply the guidance that they give you there to calculate a total amount of tax that Marais needs to pay. Okay, so what do they mean by this? Let's say, for example, you earn 250,000. Okay, so I'm gonna just make a side note now. So let's say you earn 250,000 now. Okay, right? How would we calculate per annum? 250,000 per annum. How would we calculate the amount of tax that now you would have to pay if you earn this amount, right? So if you go to the table 7 that is basically given to us, right? They tell us to calculate the rate of tax that you would have to pay. You would basically pay 30, because this amount, 250,000 is between 195,851 and 305,850. We do agree that 250,000 is between that tax bracket. Now, so if it is between that tax bracket or the tax bracket number 2, then to calculate the amount of tax that you would pay, you would take 35,253. Okay, you would pay 35,000 right? Plus 26% of taxable right. So the amount that you'd pay would be 35,253 plus 26% of taxable income that is above 195,850. So how would we get that taxable income that is above 195,850? What you would then have to do, right, to get that taxable income that is above 195,853 is you would take the 250,000 and you would minus 195,850, right? Okay, so if you were to punch that into your calculator, how much do you get? Okay, you would get 54,150, right? So this 54,150, right, is the taxable income that is above 195,850. Okay, so from that 54,150, we would then need to get what is 26% of it, right? So to get what the 26% of the 54,150, right, all you do is you take that 54,150 and you multiply it by 26, you divide it by 100, okay? Or you can just say 54,150 and you can just multiply by 26%. You can also just punch that into your calculator straight like that if you've got your Casio calculator. But if you're working with your Sharp calculator, you can just say times it by 26 divided by 100. So 54,150 multiplied by 26 divided by 100, right? That will give us 14,079, right? So that is basically the 26% of the taxable income that is above 195,850, right? So therefore, this particular person, or if you were earning 250,000 per annum, okay, therefore the amount that you would pay would be 35,253 plus this 26% of the taxable income that we have calculated, which is 14,079. So if you were to punch that into your calculator, 35,253 plus 14,079, you will get 49,332 rand, right? So that is basically the amount of tax that you would basically have to pay if you were earning 250,000, or if you were if you fell in the second tax bracket, right? So basically that is the information that we are being given. How we calculate the tax that you're supposed to pay. That is the information that table 7 gives to us, right? And then let's go to table 8. Table 8 is the tax rebates and medical aids credits for the 2019 to the 2020 tax year, right? Before we get started, guys, what does the word rebates mean? Yeah. One thing about finance is we cannot take the terminology for granted. What does rebate mean? Because if you're not understanding what the term rebate mean, you'll find that in some questions that are coming, you are going to be confused or not do something because you didn't understand what the term means, right? So a rebate is a partial refund that is basically given if you pay too much tax, right? So it's the amount of money that you're given back for paying too much tax. That is very important. That is very, very, very important information that we're going to use when we're answering the questions that follow, right? Let us continue now and start answering the questions. Question 5.1.1, right? Use table 7 and table 8 above to answer the questions that follow. Okay, question 5.1.1 says that identify which tax bracket Marius falls in based on his taxable income, right? So when we go to the information that has been given to us, okay, we are told that Marius earns 551,762 per annum. Okay, so that is his income per annum. So based on that, which tax bracket, okay, does he earn? Guys, please note, it says that which tax bracket. So you need to be able to say that, does it fall in the first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh tax bracket, ne? Okay, they didn't say how much, what is the taxable income? They said which tax bracket, ne? So then when you answer this question, we will say that he falls in the fourth. Okay, he basically falls in the fourth tax bracket because 551,762 is greater than 423,301. However, it is less than 555,600. Okay, so therefore we see then that he falls within the fourth tax bracket. Cool stuff. Question 5.1.2 says calculate the amount of tax Marius must pay must pay for the 2019 or to 2020 tax year, right? How much is the amount of tax that he must pay? Okay, so we need to now remember that explanation that I gave you guys when I started the video tutorial, because that is going to come in handy when we're now calculating the amount of tax that he has to pay. And also that term rebates is very important when it comes to this question, because it'll also tell us something else, something very important that we need to do before we finalize our calculation, right? So let's see how much is Marius, how much tax will he pay for the 2019 to the 2020 financial year, right? Because we've already calculated that he falls within the fourth tax bracket, ne? We basically now need to focus on this row here, right? So how much tax is he going to pay? We already know that he is going to pay 100,263 plus 36% of the taxable income that is above 423,300. Okay, so I'm gonna write that down there. Okay, so we already know that Marius gets paid 551,762. That is the amount that he gets paid, right? We know that the amount of tax that he's going to pay is 100,263 plus 36% of taxable income. Taxable income about 423,300, right? So we already know that we are just going to take that and we're going to add it with 36% of the taxable income above 423,300, right? So now what we need to do is we basically now need to calculate how much is that 36% of the taxable income that is above 423,300. That is what we are now going to calculate. Okay, so how do we calculate that? Like I mentioned, guys, we are going to take that 551,772 minus the 423,300, because we want to calculate the taxable income that is above that 423,300, right? Okay, if we are at 551,762, how much did we add? Okay, how much did we add to 423,300 to get to 51,762? So that is the amount that we're trying to get. Okay, so if you punch that into your calculator, you will get that the amount is going to be 128,462. Okay, so if you take 423,300 and you plus it with 128,462, right, you will get 51,762. Okay, cool stuff, right? So that is the taxable income that is above 423,300. Okay, so now how do we get 36% of that income? Okay, so to get 36% of that, we are just going to take 128,462 and you're going to multiply it by 36%, or you can just say 36 divided by 100. Okay, and you'll get that your answer is going to be 46,246.32 cents. So that is the 36% of the taxable income that is above 423,300. So now to calculate the total tax that he paid, we will just take that 100,000, right? Okay, that 100,263, and you're gonna add it with the 36%, and we found that the 36% of the taxable income is how much? We found that it is 46,246.32. So that is a 36% of the taxable income above for 423,300. Okay, 46,246.32. Okay, so if you add that together, you will get 146,509.32, right? So that is basically the rate of tax that Mr. Marais will basically have to pay. But we are not done. Okay, why am I saying we're not done? We were also given Table 8 that shows the tax rebates and medical credits for the 2019 to 2020 financial tax year, right? However, because we were told that Mr. Marais doesn't basically have a medical aid, he's not a member of any medical fund, we're not going to focus on the medical credits part for now. We're just going to focus on the tax rebates, right? And I did mention that a rebate is a partial refund that is given to a person that has paid too much tax, right? So in this case, then, it's very important because now if he pays a particular amount of tax and he gets refunded a particular amount, that means in total, the amount of tax that he paid is that tax amount minus the refund to give us the tax, right? Hope I didn't lose anyone. The tax that we've calculated, and we're gonna minus the refund to get the total tax that Mr. Marais actually pays for the 2019 to 2020 financial year, right? So let's have a look. For the tax rebate, we are told that the primary, right, the tax rebate is 14,220. For the secondary, which is a person that is 65 years and older, is 7,794, and the tertiary, which is a person that is 75 and older, the rebate is 2,601, right? So because Mr. Marais is 64 years old, that means that the tax rebate, right, that he will get is 14,220. Okay, so that means from the amount that we've already calculated, that for 146,509.32 cents, we still need to subtract 14,220 to get what? The total amount of tax that he must, or he actually pays, right? So we're going to take that now, 146,509.32, and you're going to minus that with 14,220, right? Because that is the refund that he gets. So if you were to punch that into your calculator, you will get that Mr. Marais must pay 132,289.32 cents. That is basically the amount of tax that he must pay for the 2019 to the 2020 tax year, right? So it's very important we calculate the amount of tax. We take into consideration that he's got a tax rebate, and we also take into consideration his age so that we know what we're supposed to subtract. So we take that tax amount that he pays minus the rebate to get the total amount of tax that Mr. Marais must pay for the 2019 to 2020 tax year, right? I hope I didn't lose anyone there, right? Let's go to the next question. Okay, so this question basically stated that Mr. Marais, question 5.1.3, Mr. Marais stated that if he had been 1 year older, he would have saved more than 600 monthly on taxes paid during the 2019 to the 2020 tax year. We need to verify showing all calculations whether this statement is correct. Okay, so guys, it's very important with this question. It's out of 6 marks. Yeah? You can't say his statement is valid without showing calculations as to how you know whether his statement is valid. So now we are accountants, né? In other words, we need to check, is he making a valid claim by saying that he would have saved more than 600 monthly, right? The key is more than 600 monthly. So we need to check whether he's going to save more than 600. It cannot be 600. It has to be more. So it can be 600.50 cents, 650 more, right? That's what we're checking. Cool. So we need to verify showing all calculations. So now, how do we start this calculation? We first need to check how much is Mr. Mare currently paying monthly for his tax, okay? So when we go back to the question that we just did, we found that, okay, we calculated, okay, that per annum, per year, for the year 2019 to 2020, Mr. Marais pays 132,289.32 cents. That is how much he pays, right, currently for the year 2019 to 2020. Okay, so I'm going to write that down. Okay, so the amount of tax that he pays when he's 64 years old is 132,289.32 cents, right? And that is his annual payment. But we want to compare with monthly things, né? We don't want to compare with annual things. So we want to see monthly, how much is he going to basically pay, right? So to get the monthly payments, guys, what do? Divide by 12, right? So if you divide that amount with 12, you will get that monthly, currently, Mr. Mare pays 11,024 Rand and 11 cents. That is the amount that he currently pays when he's because he's 64, right? So now we need to now determine how much tax he will pay when he is a year older, right? So the amount of tax that he will pay at 65, right? When he is 65 years old, right? Okay. At 64. I feel like I need to write years. Right? So when we look at the amount of tax that he'll pay when he is 65 years old, right? We already know that, okay, Mr. Marais pays 132,289.32 cents. Okay. However, we remember from our table 8 that when he is actually 65 and older, the tax rebate changes. Né? So we know that the tax rebate will be now 7,794. So we need to minus that amount from that 132,289.32 cents, right? So we're going to minus the tax rebate of 7,794, right? If you punch that into your calculator, you will find that you get 124,495.32, right? So that is the year or the tax that he pays annually, right? Or that he would pay annually if he was 65 years old. But remember, we are trying to compare from a month-to-month basis, right? So what we need to do still, we basically need to now take that 124,495.32 and you need to divide that by 12 to get the amount of money that he will pay monthly, right? So if you punch that into your calculator, you'll find that he basically will pay 10,374.61 cents. Okay, so now we are not done. We need to now verify whether his statement is correct. Okay, so how do we do that? Okay, we now know that, okay, when he's 64 years old, he's paying 11,024 rand and 11 cents. When he's 65, did I just say when he's 64 rands old? When he's 64 years old, he's going to pay he pays 11,024 rand and 11 cents. Okay. When he is 65 years old, he's going to pay 10,374.61 cents. So how do we check whether his statement is correct? We need to now take this 11,024 rand 11 cents, and you need to minus it with the 10,374.61 to check how, because obviously when he's 64, he's paying more than he would pay when he's 65, right? So to check how much more he's paying, we just need to subtract the two from each other. You understand? So it's going to be 11,024.11 minus 10,374.61. Just simply punch that into a calculator, right? You will get that when he's 65 years old, he would have now paid how much? 649 rand 50 cents less, right? Because we see that is how much he's currently paying now. Yeah? And that is how much he would pay if he was 65 years old. So we can see this amount is less than that amount, meaning that when he's 65 years old, he will pay 649 rand 50 cents less than he would pay when he was 64 years old. Therefore, we can now conclude that his statement was correct. Cool, right? So you've basically answered the question. Okay, let's go into the next question. Question 5.1.4. Marius is considering joining a medical fund. Remember, we were told that Marius basically has not joined any medical aid, and he plans to include his wife and 2 grandchildren. Determine the total monthly medical credits he would qualify for if he joined a medical fund, right? So yeah, guys, we are going to go to table 8, right? So let's have a look at our table 8, right? So that is our table 8. Let's see what is the information that is given to us. We are told the medical credits per month for medical fund members. We are told that the main member pays 310. The first dependent is the wife, the husband, they pay 310, and then we are told that each additional dependent pays 209, right? So now, how much would then Mr. Marius pay if he were to join now a medical aid or a medical fund, and he would include his wife and 2 grandchildren, right? So we know that we've got Mr. Marius, his wife, and the 2 grandchildren, right? So we know that Mr. Marius is what? He is the main member, right? So he would pay 310 plus. We know that his wife is what? The first dependent, right? So she would also pay 310 plus. We know that he wants to add his 2 grandchildren, and the 2 grandchildren are what? The additional dependents, right? And they get charged 209 each. So you can just say 209 plus 209, or you can just say 209 times 2. Okay, so if you were to punch that into your calculator, you'll find that now if Mr. Marais wanted to join a medical fund, he would then spend 1,038 rand, right? And that is basically for 4 marks, right? Right. So that is basically how you will tackle that question. Okay, so I hope you guys enjoyed the video tutorial. I think the take for this is that we know what the terminology means, right? And for us to basically understand our terminology, that basically goes with studying, because this won't be the first time that you see the word rebates in the question paper, right? So you would have seen it in your textbooks, in activities that you do in class, and so on and so forth. So it's very important that you pay attention in class, very important that you study so that you get familiarized with the terminology that they use, because if you don't know what rebates means, then you are probably gonna not remember that, okay, I actually need to subtract that 14,220 there. Okay, so that's just the take from this question. It was a nice question. I actually enjoyed doing it, right? In the next video tutorial, guys, we are going to be tackling question 5.2, right? We are going to be, it's data handling. So we are handling data and we are going to be using box and whisker plots, right? So I'm going to show you guys how we basically analyze a box and whisker plot, what each and every information that is given to us basically means, and how we can compare the different box and whisker plots, right? And the information that is given to us to help basically answer questions, right? And I also wanted to share a music channel that I've basically created. In the channel, I'll be basically uploading your classical mixes, your lo-fi beats and stuff like that, to just help you guys relax and study. So it's like a great channel to go to when you just got home from school and you're doing your homework. It'll be great, soothing and relaxing music that you guys can listen to as you are basically doing your homework, or even studying for your tests and exams, or even if you're just chilling and just want to listen to relax music that is just relaxing and music that will calm you down. Please make sure that you have a look at this channel. I highly recommend it. Okay, yeah, and don't forget to just subscribe to the channel. Also give the videos or the music mixes on the channel a huge thumbs up. I'll leave a link to the channel down on the description box below. Right, so that is it for today's video tutorial, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Please don't forget to share the channel with your friends, and I'll see you guys on my next video tutorial, Distance Learning with Lee, where I make learning mathematics super easy. That is it, guys, and I'll see you guys on my next upload, Distance Learning with Lee, where I make learning mathematics super easy. Bye, guys.